A bit of stuff to get through, so okay. Well, I guess we may as well start. So this is the NANOG44 community meeting. We have a bit of agenda to try and get through this evening. Hopefully we can try and get through in the next hour or so. Basically, it's going to consist of a few reports plus looking at the charter changes, plus we also have the steering committee election to go over. So we'll try and get through all this quickly and give you some chance to have open microphone at the end of it all. So first up, steering committee report. I'll quickly go through what's been happening from the steering committee's point of view. We'll then have the steering committee elections. Rather than sort of leaving the election thing to the absolute last piece while people are rushing out of the room, we thought we'd put it up at the front and give the candidates an opportunity to say a few words. We're then going to, Steve will walk us through the charter changes, the 3 charter changes being proposed, so we'll look at those. Then we have the program committee report by Todd. Kris will go through the mail list committee report. Don is going to give the merit report, and then we have the open discussion. So without any further ado, I think I will go into the steering committee report. By the way, I'd like to thank steering committee colleagues and so forth for merging all this presentation into one, so we don't have any laptops swapping and so forth up here. So thanks for that work, Todd and others, for doing this. It makes it much easier. So, steering committee report. So, steering committee members up on the screen there, with Betty Burke for merit, Randy Bush, Steve Feldman, Jared March, Chris Morrow, Chris Foster, Joe Provo, myself, and Todd Underwood. We're all wearing blue badges. If steering committee members would stand up, please, so that folks can see who you are. And we're all wearing blue badges, so that's how you can tell. Apart from Todd, who's wearing, well, I don't know what he's wearing. Green. Yeah. So Todd is also program committee chair. Program committee have got yellow badges, so yellow plus blue is green. Okay. So that's your steering committee as of today. So for those of you who aren't aware what we get up to, we basically hold fortnightly telephone conference calls. But we are responsible really for where NANOG is going, how NANOG functions and so forth. We work together with Merit on all this piece. The minutes of our meetings are published there on the new website, so it's a slightly longer URL. I know quite a few have read the minutes. Again,
in this continent, fortnightly is spelled every 2 weeks.
Is it? Yes. Does fortnightly not exist?
It doesn't exist.
You're joking. No. My gosh, I'll have to remember that.
You could just say every 2 weeks.
Okay, every 2 weeks, in case you're wondering what fortnight is. Okay. So we have meetings every 2 weeks, which can be shortened if you wish. No, we have meetings every 2 weeks. The minutes are published. I know quite a few of you read the minutes. We don't get a lot of feedback, but I mean, if more of you would like to read the minutes, provide feedback and so forth, that would be great. The conference call includes a short report from the program committee and the mailing list committee, so we keep a general watch over how they are functioning, help with any issues and so forth. Highlights since NANOG43, I think some of the main things that pop up, I mean, obviously there's been quite a bit of preparation work for NANOG44, participating in the engineering calls, the joint meeting with Aaron, as well as assessing future other network experiments. We also finalized the media situation at NANOG. Basically, we were asked for policy regarding complementary registration of the media representatives, so we had that discussion on NANOG Futures, and well, that's now on the website. I don't know if anybody's taken advantage of it yet so far, no, but at least it is there now. Initial planning for NANOG45. I mean, as most of you will know, NANOG45 is going to the Dominican Republic, which is taking a little bit more, I suppose, effort to try and do, so we've been helping out with that. And we're also planning for future NANOGs. So trying to get about an 18-month future planning window, just so it reduces the difficulty that Merit have with trying to find venues and handling the costs and so forth, as well as giving us the advantage of early promotion. People can start planning their travel with their various employers and so forth. And also lets the program committee get to work earlier for future events. Many of you will have seen the new website, and again, the steering committee helped Merit with a lot of input with the work that was done to put that together. And we've also been taking a look at some of the charter revisions, which Steve will be talking about next, or in a bit. So mailing lists, if you want to know how to contact various things or where to go. Of course, there's a NANOG at nanog.org is the main list. For engineering and operations discussion, engineering and operations content is always highly welcome there. NANOG Futures is discussion about NANOG itself. Again, talking about general NANOG itself and where it should go and how it should go, again, is very welcome on the NANOG Futures list. It's been kind of quiet of late. Steering at NANOG is basically how to contact us, the steering committee. You can contact the PC via the NANOG PC address there, I think that's right. And the mailing list committee you can get at via admins at nanog.org. So any questions about any of that before we move on to the actual steering committee elections? No? Okay. So, next piece, steering committee elections. So, steering committee elections are held during the last NANOG of the calendar year. I think I can say that without confusing anybody. It's basically the last NANOG in the calendar year. There are 3 positions available. ST members can only serve 2 consecutive terms, and then they must take 1 year holiday before they become eligible again. So Randy and I are the first 2 people who are term limited, so we cannot stand again for another year, so we get a rest. So this steering committee will see at least 2 new members in it going forwards, which will be nice to see. Voting, well, is open. It was open from noon today, and it runs until 1 p.m. This time zone on Tuesday the 14th. And then we'll announce the results at the end of the sessions on Tuesday. So you'll find out who your new steering committee will be then. Voting procedure is basically anyone who's registered for NANOG in the last 2 years can vote. And if you want to vote, that's the actual URL. You'll need your username, password that you used when you registered for NANOG to actually get access to that URL. So I encourage you all to go and vote. Candidates, well, there's a very long URL which has got the bios of all the candidates and so on. But the 7 candidates are here: Jim Dulesky, Patrick Gilmore, Martin Hannigan, Joe Provo, Alex Rubenstein, Rob Seastrom, and Josh Snowhorn. I guess now I can invite each of the candidates to come up and say a few words to the microphone to support their candidature, if they're interested in doing so. Is Jim in the room? Jim's in transit. Okay. Patrick Gilmore couldn't make it, but he asked me to read out this. Of course, it went to sleep. And he asked me to read out, "Please forgive me for not being here in person, and I would like to thank Philip for reading this for me. I'm honored to be nominated to the steering committee. Please be assured that I should be fortunate enough to serve. I will do my best for the NANOG community. Most of you know me, or at least of me. My opinions and positions are no secret to anyone who reads the NANOG mailing list or comes to meetings, so I'll not have Philip read them here. Hopefully I have already given everyone enough information over the last decade so you can feel comfortable voting for me. And if not, I doubt anything I say here will change that. Thank you for your consideration, and whether elected or not, I will continue to support NANOG as much as I can." So that was Patrick's statement. Martin? Don't see him either. Joe?
Hi, Joe Provo. My position statement is online. Basically, I don't suffer from verbal diarrhea, so I'm not going to go on and on. I do things. I make cables. I'm a network engineer that does things. I make cables. I'll make Perl tools. I'll make a router sing, and I'll and serve on a committee, unfortunately. We've gotten some things done in the last couple of years, and I just want to see a few things to completion. That's all.
Is Alex here? I think he couldn't make it. Okay, yeah, so Alex couldn't make it. So, Rob.
I'm going to be even shorter than Joe was. You can see my position statement online. I'd like to continue giving back to the NANOG community. Thank you very much.
And Josh? I did see Josh in the lobby earlier, but obviously not here. So, all right. So anyway, so those are your 7 candidates. As I say, the polls have been open since noon. Please go vote for who you wish to serve on the steering committee. The 3 positions available, and good luck to all the candidates. I think the only thing I would really like to say is, well, I would like to thank the current steering committee. It's been a pleasure working with all of them for probably the last, 3.5 years, something like that. So wish them all best in the future, carry on the good works and so forth, and to the successful candidates, wish you all the best and taking NANOG on to better things. Thank you all.
Thanks, Philip.
So I was going to say, Randy, do you want to say any final parting words? Or, I should have mentioned this before, but... Oh, okay. Thank you. So, moving swiftly on. Charter changes, Steve.
Yeah, this is the exciting part, as Todd just mentioned. I'd also like to thank Philip and Randy for their service. 3 years on this steering committee is a long time. They both put in a year as chair, which is a rather thankless job, herding cats, but it needs to be done, and they did it well, so thank you. Okay, these are the same slides I presented last time, so I'll go over them real fast. Why do we have a charter? Why do we care? It's like bylaws or a constitution. We're kind of a funny organization in that we don't exist as a legal entity, but we're an activity of merit. So everything we do is kind of colored by that. But we have an agreement as a community with merit that we will behave like a community organization, that we will follow the charter, and merit will follow the charter to the extent possible. And so far it's worked really, really well, and we want to continue it. We have amendments so that we can fix mistakes. During the general election, which is now, amendments can be put on the ballot. There's 2 ways. One is by vote of the steering committee, and one is by petition of the membership. There are 3 proposals this time. All 3 were by steering committee vote. There were no petitions. The first proposal, steering committee recall procedure, just provides a way that the membership can tell us if we're doing a bad job and get rid of us. By petition, recall initiative can be put on the ballot. Takes 2/3 of the community to vote one of us off. Hopefully it'll never be needed, but it's there for accountability. Just like everyone else needs to be accountable, we do too. Second proposal, mailing list community member removal, committee member removal. Basically, this just adds text mirroring that for removal of program committee members. Takes roughly 2/3 vote of the steering committee to do so. Again, it's not something we would hope it would be used often, but it's there in case it's needed. Third one is cleaning up some language in the charter. The intent here is to fix mistakes, spelling errors, bad word choices, without actually changing the meaning of the charter from what was intended. The biggest one is use of the word ex officio, which I actually happened to look up once, and it doesn't mean what we thought it meant. So we're fixing that. There's also one of them changes that I didn't mention here, but was kind of interesting. Changing the word recommended to enacted in terms of charter amendments. The word recommended was in the original charter because of the relationship with merit that we have. But looking at it out of context, it seemed to me to be entirely confusing. So we're changing it to look like it would in any other organization, to say the Membership Candidate Act changes to the charter. It really doesn't change the way we do business. Merit still has the ultimate authority because they control our money and they have all the legal risk and all that. So effect is a no-op, except that the language is more clear. So those are the three amendments we have. All three, again, were voted on unanimously by the steering committee. We didn't have any that came from the community. Oh, I also want to thank Rob Stevenstrom, who volunteered to be the charter wrangler this time and had absolutely no work to do. We hope that that's a good sign that things are running well and people didn't see the need to substantially change the way we do business. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that, Steve. Are there any comments from anybody at all? Nope. If not, well, that's what you have got to go and vote on as well, if you would please. So if you would indicate whether you approve or disapprove, that would be really appreciated. Moving on to Todd.
Hi, y'all. How y'all doing? What are you talking about, faker? Hi, I'm Todd Underwood. I have the dubious honor of chairing the program committee. In the back, dead in the middle of the aisle, straight where you can see her, is Ren Provo, who is my assistant vice chair, and she actually does all the work and I take all the credit, which is the normal male-female relationship in professional structures. And so we've got that replicated perfectly. But I did actually put together this particular slapdash presentation myself. I'll go fast. My main intent for this presentation is to clarify for those of you who are not in the know what the heck the program committee is, and somehow encourage you to either submit a bunch of fantastic talks that you have sitting under your hat that you've just neglected to tell us about, or better yet, to volunteer for the program committee. So those are my two goals. We will see whether they are accomplished. So the program committee, just what it is we're responsible for putting together the program. We are selected by the steering committee. There's 16 of us all over the world, and we do a lot of stuff. In particular, we recruit talks. We recruit a lot of talks. Because most of you who know anything about the way networks work don't have any time to put together a presentation about any of the things you know. And so it takes us bugging you to actually create the sort of circumstance where you would do that. And that is our job, is to bother you. And so that's why we're so popular. We review the talks once we have recruited them, and some of them are quite bad, and many of them are quite fantastic, and most of them are somewhere in the middle and need a little bit of help or need some direction. We organize those talks into the fantastic program that you see here before you on those little sheets of paper, and we put them together into this conference. So, program committee members, a bunch of these people in the room, as I mention your name, if you'd stand up, it's not just to embarrass you, it's so that other people can find you and tell you the fantastic talk that they have been thinking about, but they just haven't had someone to bounce the idea off. So, Larry Blanc, is he here? Larry? Very good, Larry Blanc. Brian Deerdorf, Brian... No, not here. Nick Feemster is not here. Igor, right there, standing next to Ren. Kobe was not able to come, I believe. Mike Hughes. Mike Hughes, very well. Rodney Jaffe, yep, right there. Sylvie Laperrière is not here because what did we do? What did we do? Why are there no Canucks here? Because we scheduled this on Canadian Thanksgiving, which wasn't very clever of us. So.
I managed to show up.
Yeah, but you live in California, see, because you're a cheater Canadian. All right. Keith Mitchell, over there. Kevin Oberman. Kevin, here, but not here at the moment. Lane Patterson, right there. Stand up. You can't just wave your hand. Ren, we already met. Josh Snowhorn. Richard Steenburgen. There we go. I'm Todd Underwood still, and Bill Woodcock. Bill, not in the office. So that's who we are. If you saw someone sitting near you, Joel, why aren't you on this list? I just copied and pasted it from the web pages. Well, yeah, that was the problem. See, Joe Yeagley is right there. So how and why to be on the PC? Nominations for the PC are now open. One of the first acts of the new steering committee, once it is elected, will be to select new members of the program committee. So if you would like to be nominated or would like to nominate yourself, now's the time to do it. Come see one of us if you have questions about the work level. You will shape the content of the conference, gain fame and recognition. See the previous slides. You'll get to stand up in front of everyone and be embarrassed, just as these people and I have been. You can contribute to this community of network engineers and operators. And here's the reality, is that most of you have been silently, or in most of your cases, not so silently, saying for many conferences what crap you think the program is, and here's your chance to show us that you know how to put together a better program, because we think you can do it. We're frankly not that good at it. No, we're very good at it, but you could be better at it. Some quick metrics. We got 36 total submissions, 23 accepted, 3 withdrawn, and 10 declined. That's pretty par for the course. We used to basically not decline anything. We don't actually like declining things, but the evidence of having some talks that we didn't accept shows us that we didn't just take, the talks we could to fill up the space, that there's actually a number of people who submitted talks that were either too marketing or sales oriented or of content that people didn't think was relevant. There's a variety of reasons we reject talks. In general, we try to provide specific feedback about what we thought was inappropriate about the talk for our audience and how people might make it better. In some cases, that's just not possible. In some cases, it is. In most cases, it is. NANOG45 is going to Santo Domingo, and we are very, very excited about that. There's a ton of stuff to work out. Mostly, you guys have to make your travel plans right now, because we'd like to see you there. So, January 25th through 28th, there's a bunch of events that are sort of swirling in the air around that. There's definitely a peering event after NANOG. There's likely a LACNIC event right on the beginning of NANOG. So, there's the potential for a week and a half long justified time period in January in Santo Domingo for you if you'd like to sort that out. I've got 2 aunts and 4 cousins there, and they can do some babysitting for you if you'd like to bring. It's first come, first serve, so let me know. This is the first NANOG that we've had outside of the U.S., Canada. And I personally loved Toronto in February. I really did. I thought it was fantastic. But y'all griped about it a lot. You guys grumbled about it a lot. And so this being an organization of extreme overreaction, this is the response to February in Toronto. What we've done is January in the Caribbean. See, so you get both options there. Get your submissions in now. We will have an accelerated acceptance schedule for this conference because many people are going to have to go through extra large corporate bureaucratic hoops to get travel justification because it's outside of the U.S., although it's not so much outside of the U.S. So we want to get enough of a draft program out there so that travel justifications can have something substantial attached to them. So if you have something to present, submit it as soon as possible. We will be looking at that over the course of the next few weeks. Questions? Very good. Thank you very much. Kris.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. Next up, we have Kris.
Hi, I'm Kris Foster, and I chair the mailing list committee. So for those of you that are new to NANOG, prior to 2005, Merit actually ran the mailing list. And the community spoke out and said they wanted to take control of the mailing list and kind of our own destiny here. And we had ourselves written into the charter so that we could govern ourselves. We do work with rules, and they're in an acceptable use policy. This is something that's owned by the steering committee and not by the mailing list committee. Our job is basically to enforce those rules. If you'd like to read more about this interesting subject, you can click on that link there. So right now the mailing list is composed of 4 people that are selected by the steering committee. We're volunteers. There's David Barrick, Simon Lyle, Tim Yoakum, and myself. The steering committee has one of their own representatives on the mailing list to make sure that we're not running out of control. And then there's Sue Joyner, who Merit appoints to sit on the mailing list committee. At the end of this NANOG, there's actually 2 spots opening up. And that's Tim and David. What do we do? What do we don't do? We don't write the AUP, but we do moderate the list according to the AUP. Our approach so far has been very light-handed. We've been contacting people off list. We haven't been really intervening directly in the threads. We have been trying to be consistent in who we contact and under what circumstances we're contacting them. So if you're on our bad list, then don't worry, you haven't been singled out. Everybody else that has been warned under the same conditions, and if anyone else has met those conditions, we've warned them as well. But you're not going to hear about it. What the mailing list committee would like to ask of you is, chances are if you're sitting in this room, you know what's helpful. You know what kind of content should be posted. And we're really looking for the people that are posting quality content to give little gentle nudges to the people that aren't quite posting things that we find acceptable, things that aren't operational or engineering or technical. A few statistics for you. You can see there's almost 10,000 subscribers, so every time you send a message, there's potentially 10,000 people that are reading it. You can see the number of posts that we've done per month, and we've actually had relatively few reminders sent out to people about the AUP. You can see in October so far to date, we've had to send out 9. There was one list that got a little political and out of control. There are 2 other lists for you to use. There's the NANOG attendee list, which if you registered for the conference, you had a choice to opt out from it. So we'd appreciate social messages going off to this list so that we can keep operational stuff on the NANOG list. And if you want to talk about the NANOG list or NANOG in general, there's NANOG futures. So meta discussions, not appropriate for the NANOG list. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them, or you can contact us directly at admins@nanog.org, and we're very responsive. So,
it's kind of a thankless job, I know, because I've been there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I think everybody wants to go to the social event tonight, so thanks very much for the report, Kris. And again, on behalf of the steering committee, thanks very much for the work the MLC has been doing over the last 3 months. It's been a pleasure to work with you all. Next up, we have Don.
Hi, I'm Don Welch. I'm president of Merit, and I want to thank you all for attending Merit and taking part in this great organization. I want to do some thank yous right off. Brian, we call him Brian W., but Brian has done a lot of work on the NANOG website, and I think he's done a really good job of working with the steering committee to try and improve the value of that website to you. So even though he's not here, he has played a big role. I also want to thank all the Merit on-site staff. They work very hard to try and make this meeting work as well for you as possible. And they get a lot of benefit of hanging out with you and seeing some of the benefits. But They also work a lot of hours and are really good at what they do, and I really appreciate all the effort they do to try and make this possible. Also want to just quickly thank our hosts, Rodney and Celeste, who's not here from USC, but we really appreciate that. Hosts are what make the NANOGs possible, and we really do appreciate it. Just quick review from Brooklyn. 429 registered attendees, and those are pretty good numbers. They're kind of our minimum of what we need to break even, and the types of people who attended. So speaking of breaking even, this is what the financials were for Brooklyn. It's a black number at the bottom, and I like black. However, I would have liked a little bit larger black number. But, you take what you can get. Attendance looks pretty good here, so hopefully we'll get some. One of the things we talked about was trying to plan meetings further out. And Merit is a nonprofit, NANOG is a nonprofit line of business of Merit, and we don't make profits, but we try and build a reserve. And we are trying to build a reserve enough so that we can actually go out and make these arrangements for these venues in advance. So we need to put a little more money into the reserve before we can, with good conscience, go out and make commitments for these venues. And as you elect members of the steering committee, we work with the steering committee to try and to make NANOG a success and determine things like venues and member fees and so forth. So as you can see, we're getting by. We want to make NANOG more valuable to all of you, but we are coming up against some limits as we come into uncertain times financially. So the next steering committee that you elect, we're going to be working with to try and make sure that these numbers stay in the black. And there are lots of options. Some of them are just raising the attendance fees. Many of you who registered at the last minute, we appreciate, because of course you pay more and it helps us turn out in the black. But it does make for a little bit more exciting times. I keep asking Betty, how are we doing on attendance? And she fills me in as we come into that. There are other kinds of things that we could do. We could hold NANOG in places that are not as expensive, which means that you probably have to change planes to get there. That may be an option, but these are the things the steering committee will represent you on. Or we could be more aggressive with sponsors, get them to kick in more money, but that would mean they'd probably have more access to you. But think about that, and think about how NANOG can be more valuable to you, and realize that the steering committee will be the ones that you will speak for you. So when you think about who you want on the steering committee, keep those things in mind. Tell the people that you elect what your thoughts are, so that they can work with us and we can do a better job serving you. But once again, thank you. And the City of Los Angeles should be thanking us, because the last time that we met in the fall in a city that had a Major League Baseball team, on Sunday night they were also hosting a postseason playoff game, as it was in St. Louis. So wherever we're going next fall, they should probably plan on making it to the playoffs. Thank you.
Thanks, Don. Are there questions?
Randy Bush, IJ. I just would like to recommend anybody who does anything creating websites, go look at what Brian's done with the NANOG website. And it's not the surface, it's not the slick, it's not the pull-down menus. It's that he's done it. That it doesn't require JavaScript. It doesn't require Java. It works on links, and it works on your stinking PDA. And it looks like a normal, slick website, but it was done right.
So, any questions for Don? Any of his report? If not, this really brings us to the open discussion piece. Does anybody have any questions, any issues they want to bring up? Any question for the SC or Program Committee, Mailing List Committee, Merit?
Somebody's got to have a beef.
Randy Bush, IJ again. I'm sure we'll hear more about it. I think that's planned, but I just want to remind folk that this is the month that 3 of our... Is this a bug or a feature? Remind people that this is the month that 3 of our close friends have died. October is not a good month. John Postel, Abba Ahuja, and Idochin Hagano. And all of us are getting a little older. As Vince sent as the closing of the NSFNet goodbye party, he said, it's really nice to see all these people here, but why'd you send your grandparents? And so let's love each other a little.
Okay, thank you. Nobody else? Anything else? Everybody wants to go to the social event, I can tell.
Don't complain.
So, well, I'm not complaining at all. It's either we're doing a really good job or nobody's interested. I hope it's that we're all been doing a really good job. So, anyways, so and if there are no other comments, just remind everybody to vote for your preferred SC candidates, vote for the charter changes. Quick comment from Todd.
Yeah, I didn't mention it before, but I see a certain number of new faces in the crowd. There is a newcomers reception tomorrow morning, newcomers breakfast. You should have received email about it, and I think it's up on the website as well. It's not just for newcomers, so if you've been coming to NANOG for a little while and would like to come and meet some of the new people here and introduce yourself and provide them a little bit of clue about how you take advantage of the conference and what you like about it, that would be great. Ren is hosting it, and as she always does, so expertly. So please stop by in the morning. It's a good social environment to get a little breakfast. We won't bother you too much until that second cup of coffee.
Thanks, Todd. So carrying on with the reminders, still looking for nominations for the program committee. The new steering committee will be picking the new program committee from Wednesday onwards, so get your nominations in, please. And start thinking about the mailing list committee. As Kris said, 2 members basically stepped down at the end of this meeting. So the new steering committee will be sending out the call and then choosing 2 new members of the mailing list committee. So if you're interested in helping out, have a chat with Kris about what the job involves, or nominate yourself or get somebody else to nominate you or whatever. Again, it's a thankless job, as has been pointed out. I think they do a great job, and if you're interested in giving back something to the NANOG community, that's probably one of the best places you can help out. So, go for it, Betty. Mike? Yeah.
Sorry. Since many of you are here tonight, you'll probably hear some of this tomorrow as well, but I wanted to give you a heads up that down below the Biltmore Bowl is the Regency room. You go down the escalators, and down on the very, very lower level, there's a bunch of open space. It's really a nice environment where you can work on your laptop. A lot of you can hang out down there. It's a really large open space. We don't have that room reserved for another meeting activity until Tuesday, so it'll be set for you. You can go down there, good wireless coverage. There's also another room called Moroccan. It's not open right now, but it is. There's a sign that says our open public seating area. If you need that room for a private meeting, if you want to reserve it for an hour or 2, just come find me and we can set up a reservation schedule. There's 4 round tables in there, sort of set for those impromptu meetings that you might want to have. So those are available spaces for you as well. If you have any questions at all about your registration or parking or how things are going, either send me an email message or stop by registration and they'll get me the information so I can respond to you.
Okay. Thanks for that. Okay, I should try and draw this to a close now. So I just want to say some quick thank yous. So thank you, said before, steering committee, especially thank you to Betty for persevering with us, working with us and so forth. It's been a great job over the last few months. In fact, well, the last 3 years personally. Thanks, Todd and Ren, for shepherding the program committee. Thanks, Kris, again, for looking after the mailing list committee. Who else should we thank? Anyway, so thanks all for coming. As Todd said, there's social tonight, half an hour's time at the Bonaventure Brewing Company. The newcomers reception tomorrow morning. Newcomers, please come. Old hands, please come as well. Thank you all for coming to this meeting this evening, and see you all tomorrow.